Hi everybody, welcome back to Carrie's Corner. We are continuing and getting close to the end of the Pushcart War by Jean Merrill. We are on chapter 27, The Truck Driver's Manifesto. After the failure of the plot to capture Maxie Hammerman, the three were not anxious to tangle directly with Maxie again. They decided to attack in a different way. They called a meeting of all the truck drivers in the city. At this meeting, the drivers drew up a manifesto which they sent to Mayor Cudd. The manifesto claimed that Maxie Hammerman's map and the fact the ammunition had been found in his basement was clear evidence of a pushcart conspiracy. The manifesto made 4 demands. 1, that every pushcart peddler in the city be arrested. 2, that pushcarts be permanently banned from the streets as they were endangering the whole city. 3, that Maxie Hammerman be fined $60,000 and sentenced to 60 years in jail for organizing the pushcart conspiracy. And 4, that the police commissioner be fired as there was reason to believe he was in on the whole conspiracy. The truck drivers warned that if the mayor did not act at once along the lines suggested, they would have no choice but to declare war on the pushcarts. Mayor Cudd called the police commissioner and read him the manifesto. "Well, what do you want me to do?" asked the commissioner. "If you fire me, I cannot arrest the peddlers." The mayor had not thought of that. "I think the truck drivers would settle for arresting the pushcart peddlers," he said. "At least that is point 1 of the manifesto." "Well, I cannot arrest the pushcart peddlers in any case," said the police commissioner. "There are, according to Maxie Hammerman, over 500 pushcart peddlers in this city, and we do not have that many empty cells in the jail." "Moreover," said the police commissioner, "even if there were a pushcart conspiracy, it would be impossible to prove which trucks have been shot down by pushcart peddlers as a part of the conspiracy, and which have been shot down by children purely in a spirit of fun." "Do you want me to arrest all the children too?" asked the police commissioner, "including those whose fathers are truck drivers?" No, said the mayor, "just the pushcart peddlers." "Well, I'm not going to arrest anybody without proof," said the police commissioner, "including Maxie Hammerman, who is a gentleman, a good sport, and a good businessman. Once I start arresting people without proof, what is to stop me from arresting you?" "Me?" said the mayor nervously. "But what can I do?" pleaded the mayor. 50,000 truck drivers have signed this manifesto. That is 50,000 votes, you know. "I suggest you declare a truce until the question of a conspiracy can be fully investigated," said the police commissioner. "If any pushcart peddler violates the truce, I will arrest him, but not before." Chapter 28, The Truce. The period of the truce was a difficult time for the pushcart peddlers. They had won the first battle, but they had not won the war. The peddlers realized that within a week all the truck tires would have been repaired and that the trucks would be on the streets again in full force and more determined than ever to make trouble for the pushcarts. This was exactly what happened. Within a week, Maxie Hammerman's shop was filled with pushcarts needing repairs of all sorts. If it had not been for Maxie's war chest, many of the peddlers would have lost heart entirely. One day, General Anna had a wheel ripped off her cart by a truck crowding her into a curb. Maxie Hammerman said that Anna would need a new cart as there was damage to the axle that could not be repaired. The pushcart peddlers held a meeting to discuss the truce. Morris the florist pounded on a table. "When they hit a lady," he said, "it is too much. What kind of a truce is that?" "General Anna has had the cart for 42 years, said Maxie Hammerman. "My father built it when I was just learning to use a hammer." 42 years, and I never had a day's trouble with it, said General Anna. "Maxie's father once said to me, when I build a cart, it could last a lifetime. So maybe I should die now." "Please don't, General Anna," said Papa Peretz. "Naturally I won't," said General Anna. "I wouldn't give a truck the satisfaction. I was used to that cart. But never mind, Maxie Hammerman can build me another. What I want to know is, why don't we fight back as before? Just selling apples and pears while the truck is cutting off my wheel, I don't like so much." "I am perfectly willing to fight back," said Harry the hot dog. "Willing is not the question," said Maxie Hammerman. "If we break the truce, we are in serious trouble. The police commissioner has promised the mayor that he will arrest anyone who breaks the truce." "A truck is smashing my axle and it is a truce," said General Anna. "You are right," said Maxie Hammerman. "But how can you prove that it was an accident? And any accidental damage we do the trucks now would be very risky. The truck drivers are looking for just one good excuse to make the mayor put us off the streets entirely." "Maxie is right," said Mr. Jerusalem. "We must not damage the trucks at this time, but I have an idea. We can make a peaceful protest." "Peaceful?" said General Anna scornfully. "Peaceful like a broken axle?" Mr. Jerusalem shook his head. "Like a peace march," he said. "What I mean is this. The trucks want to run us down one at a time when nobody is looking. They hit General Anna and everybody says it is an accident." "That we already know," said Harry the hot dog. "I am coming to something else," said Mr. Jerusalem. "Suppose a truck has to run down 170 pushcarts at a time. Could that be an accident?" "So we should all get killed," said General Anna. "Is that what you were coming to?" "For once, listen," said Mr. Jerusalem. "My idea is as follows. We choose three streets where there's always a lot of truck traffic. We divide into 3 teams, 170 pushcarts to a team. Then we go marching down these 3 streets, 1 team down each street. We are lined up across the street, 6 or 7 pushcarts in a row like a parade." "Or like an army," said General Anna. "An army of 3 divisions. Call it an army, and I like the idea. So continue," she added. Mr. Jerusalem continued. "We have filled the streets where we are marching. No truck has room to pass us. A truck driver comes driving toward us. He says, 'Out of my way, pushcarts!' But we keep marching forward. Very peaceful. Doing business as usual." Mr. Jerusalem paused to let everyone get the picture. Papa Peretz looked doubtful. "And while we are doing business as usual, the truck keeps coming forward?" "So he keeps coming," said Mr. Jerusalem. "Are we worried?" "No. To push us out of the way, that truck would have to run down 6, 12, 18, 40, maybe 170 pushcarts to get through that street. Could that be an accident?" Mr. Jerusalem demanded. "No," he replied triumphantly, "it could not. And so the truck drivers will have to bargain with us. They will have to guarantee no more hitting the pushcarts." "Bargain with us?" said Harry the hot dog. "They would rather run us down, 6, 12, 18, 40 pushcarts. What do they care how many they hit?" "Ah," said Mr. Jerusalem, "but if they do hit us, then everyone will see who is breaking the truce. Who could hit 40 carts by accident? I say they will not dare." "But if they do," said Harry the hot dog. Mr. Jerusalem shrugged. "Then 6, 12, 18, 40 pushcarts will be smashed," he said. "Maybe we will all be killed. It is a war, isn't it?" "A peace march you were calling this?" said Harry the hot dog. "Are we hitting anyone?" asked Mr. Jerusalem. "Are we breaking any law?" "Yes," said Morris the florist. "If the trucks are coming toward us and we are marching toward the trucks, and it is a one-way street, which it certainly will be, we will be going the wrong way down a one-way street, and that is against the law." Mr. Jerusalem laughed. "A minor traffic violation," he said. "Nothing serious, like breaking a truce." "Nothing serious," General Anna agreed. "In fact, it is a fine plan, and I am marching in the front line. You could hurry with the pushcart, Maxie?" Chapter 29, The Peace March. Maxie Hammerman was able to finish General Anna's new pushcart in time for the Peace March by using, with General Anna's permission, his electric drill and power saw. It was true what Maxie Hammerman had told the police commissioner about General Anna's preferring the work on her cart to be done by hand. "But we are at war," said General Anna. "It is more important that I should have the cart in time for the Peace March." Maxie Hammerman said afterward that the greatest compliment anyone ever paid him was General Anna's remark when she saw her cart. "Even with electric tools, Maxie Hammerman can make a cart every bit as good as his father made by hand." Maxie was so proud of this compliment that he personally bought General Anna a cart full of the best quality apples and pears so that she would make the best appearance possible on the day of the Peace March. As Mr. Jerusalem had suggested, the Peace Army was divided into 3 groups of about 170 pushcarts each. Mr. Jerusalem was to lead the 1st Division down West Street. Harry the hot dog commanded the 2nd Division, which was going to march down Broome Street. General Anna herself took charge of the 3rd Division, which is to march down Green Street. General Anna gave orders that all divisions were to report to their stations at 7:30 in the morning of the Peace March so that they could get lined up before there was any amount of traffic in the streets. This meant that some of the peddlers had to set out before dawn to reach the street where their division was to march. The Peace March was well organized. The peddlers had all dressed in their best clothes, and many of the carts had been freshly painted for the occasion. A few peddlers in each division carried posters, and some of the carts displayed banners. The banners and posters had been lettered by Eddie Maroney. The lettering looked very professional because of Eddie Maroney's long experience in lettering circus carts and posters as a young man before he went into the pushcart line. The banners all read, "Peace March," some in plain and some in circus-type lettering. The posters, however, said different things. "Be fair to the pushcarts," or "Don't push the pushcarts around," or simply "Pushcarts for Peace." Some of the posters were gaily decorated with birds and flowers and other designs Eddie Maroney felt were in keeping with the Peace March. General Anna thought a lion or two would be very nice, as Eddie Maroney was known to be very good at drawing lions as well as at lettering. But Eddie said lions definitely were not in keeping with the Peace March. The Peace March was almost entirely peaceful. With the 1st and 2nd Divisions, everything went exactly as Mr. Jerusalem had predicted. The truck drivers, who found themselves confronted by the 1st and 2nd Divisions, stopped their trucks. When the peddlers in the front lines refused to let the trucks through, and when the truck drivers saw that there were 3 or 4 solid blocks of pushcarts backing up the front lines, they realized that there was nothing they could do. They agreed among themselves that they could not smash their way through a street full of pushcarts, even if they were angry enough to wish to. It was not that the trucks could not have broken a path through the carts. The difficulty was that while the drivers had been arguing with the peddlers about letting them pass, the banners and posters had attracted large numbers of people. If the drivers had challenged the peace army and anyone had been hurt, it would have been quite clear to the spectators that the truck drivers had rammed the carts intentionally. It was annoying to the drivers to have to give in to the pushcart peddlers, but they had no choice. Traffic had piled up so rapidly behind them that they could not even turn around and drive off in the opposite direction. So on both Broome and West Streets, the drivers were forced to agree, however bad-humoredly, to the condition named by Mr. Jerusalem and Harry the hot dog. This was simply a promise to ask the 3 to meet with Maxie Hammerman and work out a peaceful settlement of the problems that had led to the Pushcart War. One of the truck drivers warned Mr. Jerusalem that even if the 3 did agree to talk with Maxie Hammerman, that there was no guarantee that the pushcarts would get what they wanted. Mr. Jerusalem smiled. "Maybe not," he said, "but it is a beginning. To talk is better than to fight." "Also," added Papa Peretz, "if the talk is not helpful, we can march again." After the truck drivers had promised to ask the 3 to meet with Maxie Hammerman, there's a great picture. And that is looking at all the pushcarts from the truck's perspective. They handed them a bag of pretzels as a token of goodwill. At about the same time, over on Broome Street, Harry the hot dog was passing out free hot dogs. Then Mr. Jerusalem and Harry the hot dog signaled their divisions that they were to turn their carts around and march peacefully down the block, clearing the street for the truck drivers. At the about-face signal from their leaders, all the peddlers swung their carts around. As the pushcarts could not move very fast, the trucks had to creep along behind them for some blocks. Thus, it appeared to onlookers along the sidewalks as if the pushcarts of the 1st and 2nd Divisions were leading triumphal parades, which in a way they were. When people occasionally clapped their hands, Papa Peretz bowed to the right and left, like the main actor in a play, which encouraged people to clap even harder and once or twice to break into cheers. Down on Green Street, however, the 3rd Division was running into trouble. The first truck to be challenged by the 3rd Division of the Peace Army was unfortunately driven by Albert P. Mack. Mack was driving the same mighty mammoth that had hit Morris the florist's cart at the very beginning of the Pushcart War. And that brings us to the end of today's reading. Stay tuned for Chapter 30, Mack's Attack. Stay tuned for more of the Pushcart War by Jean Merrill. See you soon. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Bye-bye.